Okay, Tommy the Rash, egg and gold belly. We're back at the gold belly, and one thing I want to do is, I didn't do it yesterday, I should have, but it's okay, I didn't forget to do it, because I'm doing it now. Your dynamo earths through the dynamo bracket and into the block. So, I'd have to earth. A lot of people respray parts like dynamo brackets and blocks, and they don't clean them down where they meet, and the earth can't run through into the dynamo. When you turn the key on the ignition, it lights up the light, the charge light. It gets its earth through the dynamo, and when the dynamo then starts turning and creating its own power, it creates positive power, and it basically puts out the light, because the light's already getting fed with positive power from the key. So to make sure everything's good, we have to make sure that this bracket is earthing properly to the block and the dynamo is earthing properly to the bracket, so there's a flow. So I'm just going to clean around the hole there in the dynamo bracket with the Dremel. Just like that. A bit low to show on the camera, but that's all I'm doing. Taking out one bolt at a time, cleaning around the bracket, and then when I run the bolt in, the bolt is running clean into the block. So that's going to get its earth, and it's going to pull it into the bracket. And we tighten them up, and we're just going to take out the other one and do the same with that as well. And then I'm just going to do the same here, because the bracket looks fairly rusty from sitting up, and where it hits that, where it's connected there to the dynamo there, it's definitely going to be a little bit dirty as well. So we'll just give it all a clean up. Just a little grind of stone on the Dremel. Sounds like its bark is bigger than its bite. It's not doing a whole lot, but it's doing enough to allow current to flow through. So I've seen a few people wondering why they weren't getting their charge system wasn't working after they did up a tractor, an engine, whatever, and a lot of the time, especially the 20 diesels, because it's such a small bracket, where they bolt on is a lovely flat bit on the casting on the block, and they paint the block, paint the bracket, and then they wonder why it ain't charging. So we're just going to get a bit of sandpaper on the job, something like that will do fine. I'm just going to run it down between the dynamo and the bracket, and then that way we're sure then that it's going to earth, because otherwise if I turn the key when this is all wired up and the light didn't light up, I would be wondering what is going on, and I'd be checking wires and checking everything when it could easily just be that it's not getting its earth through here. Yeah, do you know what? That's the lazy way. I'm just going to take the dynamo off one more time, or even just let it fold outwards here. I think it's probably the best. Do it right. I want to be able to see that shining up. I think that's going to be the best option. Might even get a file at it there now. We'll see what cleans up, how it cleans up. But if you have a dynamo charging system, it is worth doing this, because that's not great, like, it's rusty. And even one place is enough, just once it's good and clean. The same with the dynamo. It is only an alloy, it will clean up lovely. That will allow air to flow through that, through the D connection at the back of the dynamo, and that will help, that will light up the bulb when we turn on the key. Okay, so that's looking a good bit better. There's a lot of, that's what happens, these kind of alloy, a bit of build up of stuff on it. So okay, that's going to do the finest. Just one of them things, if you forgot to do it, there could be head scratching going on, wondering why your charging system isn't working, or your bulb, and you'd be checking your bulb and your charging light, and you'd be checking everything, wasting time, when it's just the likes of that simple bit of cleaning. So I haven't put any washers on these or anything yet. This is all just going to be makeshift, just until we see if the dynamo is working. I see someone left a comment saying that the bearing is shagged in it. Yeah, it is. And yes, it needs to be stripped down, ideally. But if the dynamo is working, at least you know it's probably worth stripping down and getting a bearing for it. I have a new one there. You can get them. But the purpose of all this is just to get a bit of a basic wire and loom going, made up. Lovely. And that's just movable as well. Okay, so that's just one little thing there that we said we would do before we forget, and I wanted to record it because that is just a simple little bit of advice, and even if you want to call it maintenance. So in the meantime, I'm going to be doing a little bit here on wires. So we've a length of heavy double core wire in the back there that'll do from our dynamo to the regulator box. So I'm just going to go now and finish shot blasting the casing that we're using, and I'll come back when I have that done. Okay, so shot blasted, sealed up where there's a bit of damage on it. So that's what we're going using with that regulator there, because it has the spade connections and these original parts here from the original Lucas or B108 are going to go in here. We'll use that cap over it there just to keep it clean, and put it in this bag, and that'll be another day's work when we go and get this one working on my own Ferguson 20 diesel. So that is where we are at. So we don't really have to go putting on that too well, because I will have to do a bit of wiring and all of that. But what we can do is just throw it into the vise and just tap over one or two of the tabs, just so that it'll help us when we bolt this onto the side of the battery tray where it's meant to be. We can have all of these in the right places where they're meant to be, and we'll have a better idea for wiring. And just maybe one this side here, if that'll do it. Just to hold it roughly in place. I think that will do fine. Okay, right. There's one thing that I did put in the bag we will need, and that is the little rubber blanks that will seal the moisture out from the adjustment screw. So that is here. So we need that. yeah, so that was the lad we left out, so get him out and beside that. So then we can go and bolt this on to the side of the battery tray. We'll have our lads here for wiring, easier than the bullets, the bullet connections, and we'll be able to do a bit of wiring based on that. So what I'm going to use for this is a nice heavy dual core. So it's probably a bit too heavy, but you know what, it's better than being too light. So we can bear a little bit of this. Bear a bit of that. It's good and strong, I can tell you. But the original wires in these tractors were good, heavy, strong wires as well. I have some original wires there from looms, and they really are nice. They're nice wires, nice connections, brass, electrical connections on them, well crimped, well, sometimes even nearly looks like they're soldered nearly. So that should be enough bear there for our dynamo. The two connections should be fairly close to each other. So we'll just strip these. We're going to use red for D. That's going to be our dynamo connection, and then this is black is going to be F, because this is going to be running negative earth. So we want our dynamo to produce positive power. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly go over to the dynamo and make sure that we have enough wire stripped there to be able to connect between the D and F. Okay, so that's going to work there. Just wanted to make sure I had enough length in those wires to go between the D and F terminals. So this is going to be a basic wiring loom. It's not going to have braided cloth and all of that like the original ones. It's going to be something that can be improved upon down the road, maybe with an aftermarket wiring loom. That would probably work. Like, that's actually one of them on my own go belly, and they're lovely quality. So it's just going to be a simple old wiring loom. Not going to be using heat shrink or anything like that. As I say, for long term it'll probably get replaced with a factory style wiring loom that you can buy online. Okay, so till then it's just going to be a nice simple. So that's your F. We're going to go for the black wire for F. So I was going to get a big yellow one for the red wire there. Okay, so the big one, I don't have any ones that are insulated completely like that. I always seem to run out of these big yellow ones. The problem with these is they're for a very thick wire, whereas a lot of the time we don't need a thick wire, we just need the width on the spade. We need a wide spade. So what I do is I bear the wire too long and I twist it back over itself like that, put a little hook on it there, and I find that then gets a nice tight fit in there. But what I might do with this one, since it's not insulated, and I pull the insulator off, the big yellow insulator, I don't think looks very well on them. I might just use a bit of, if I can get away with a bit of heat shrink or something on this, I might do that, get pliers and try and get this off. Because they are very big and awkward looking, for considering we don't need this with such a narrow wire. So we'll take off that, and that's a little bit nicer looking. So we might just get a bit of heat shrink and see if we can heat shrink that around there, just to help insulate it a bit, at the same time getting rid of the big dirty yellow look on it. see if there's anything there that I might do. I find some of these heat shrink bits I have, they're too big or they're too small. They're rarely what I need to do the job. Which is probably why I have them for so long. I can't really use them up a lot of the time. See, it's just that's too narrow there. Well, look, I'll keep looking there and see I have more of them there, and if I can get something to tidy it up, I will. Okay, so I have one that'll fit, but it mightn't fit when I crimp it. That's often what happens, so we'll just slide it on anyway and see how we go. It definitely fits up in there nice anyway, just like it just coming through. I'm going to the yellow one here. Give it a little nip. Give it the pull test. Yeah, it's going nowhere. And just slide that up over it. Okay, get a lighter then and try and see if we can get that to shrink. It'll probably won't shrink much around the wire because, again, the wire is so narrow and thin and this is so wide, but it looks a lot neater. So that is okay. It's better than leaving the big yellow thing on it. Okay, so that is something anyway. Maybe we should have put a little bit more down to cover that, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to run up. I've got some nice cloth kind of tape, so I'm going to be tidying all that up anyway with that tape, just to take the likes of that, take the bad luck off that. So I don't mind that for starters. We'll run a bit of tape around that then. Okay, so that's coming from our dynamo, and then we've got to figure out on here what is what. So we have D, E, A, F, dynamo, earth, ammeter, or in this case I think it's going to be the solenoid, ideally going back to the battery, and F is the field coil on the dynamo, so that'll be connecting to this wire here, and this red one will be going there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly bolt that onto where it needs to be. We have our dynamo fitted, so then we can work out what length of this we need, and then we can cut it, bring it back, put the connectors on the other side and the other end, and we can at least say that we have that much done. Okay, so I've had a look at this battery tray. It isn't the right one that I mentioned before, so fuel filters are meant to be here, I think, primary and secondary. Our fuel bowl is nice and dry anyway, and our fuel pipe and our tank, which is brilliant news. It took me a long time to get my own one dry. So normally you put your solenoid closer to the starter over here, and you put your voltage regulator back here. But these two holes here, the square one and the circular one, are nearly about right for fitting that. And this cable here can go on to a solenoid. So I presume we might be able to fit a solenoid onto somewhere else. This will be out of the way. We have plenty of length in this cable to work with, or I could pick that lad there if I wanted either on the steering box, but I'd have to drill this, and I don't want to because this is insulated. It's actually rubber around it there, so I don't want to do that. So I think my only options, unless I wanted to put it, well, it would have to go hanging down, or I'd only be able to use one, or maybe drill another hole. But I still think, because the wires are going to be coming under here, I still think that is going to be the best option. And then if we have to drill here for a solenoid down the road, we have the length in the cable that, and it'll actually tidy it up a little bit. We might even be able to get it something like that. It'll be nice. So maybe use that and another one here, and our solenoid one of the bolt connections will be down there, and that would be nice and neat there. And then we can put our battery cable on the other one here. So that's just my, reasoning for it. And these are already threaded in UNF, so a UNF bolt will go in there handy. And then we'll just put a normal nut and bolt through there, whatever width the solenoid is. But for now, I think the best place and the neatest place for this is here, because our connections are at the back and it's all hopefully going to be hidden in underneath there. So, and the fact that if I go with this option, I don't have to go drilling any holes, altering the battery tray that might be down the road, could be removed and used for a 3-cylinder Ferguson 35. So it might be useful to the owner for that purpose. This side here doesn't have an insulator, so I've just made one up with a rubber washer and a length of heavy kind of rubber pipe. So if there's any questions about these at all, I do like to just make up my own ones really, like, so I know that they're definitely not going to. Okay, I just realised that's going to need another washer far side as well, so I'll just go and get another washer for that. It has to be completely isolated from earth, so I'll come back when I get that. Okay, right, so that fits in there nicely. I'm just going to put a washer behind it there as well. Washer behind, and then our nut. We've all our adjustment screws on the outside, which is handy as well. So let's give that a little nip. No washers are going to be put on this till we see how we go with getting this to fit. Of course, the thick washers that I've put on are just pushing things a little bit wider than they really need to be, but we will work it. Now, it's a bit awkward trying to get a nut on with 2 fingers, but sure, look. We've had to do worse, had to do harder things. Might have to go in at the other side or get my other hand in there. Lovely. It's just to hold it in place so we get an idea of what length of wire we need. So that'll be fine there now. Okay, not even tight, just sitting there. But it'll give us an idea. So now we can bring up our wire and move the camera on the other side. Bring up the wire from the dynamo. We'll route it around. We'll turn on the work lamp maybe just to give us a better look and see how it fits. Okay, so dynamo wires. So we're going to route them in a way that's not going to be in the way of that. And in fairness, this is not like the 20 diesel engine. There's a lot less stuff on this side, so it's most likely not going to go getting in the way of that anyway. Ohmmeter field coil connection. Bend it outwards away from the petrol pipe would probably be a good idea. And then we might decide to put all this in behind, maybe cable tie it onto the fuel pipe. This is very, very thick wire. It's very heavily insulated wire. It's not going to go rubbing or wearing through anytime soon. And then we're going to run it under our battery tray. So I'll leave plenty. I will be tidying all this up with a bit of tape. So make sure there's no pressure on that. We want to be able to adjust our carb, so I might just end up cable tying it to the actual pipe there. Let it take up the shape as long as it's not getting in the way of throttle connections and all of that, we should be fine. Or we can cable tie it around the bracket. Either maybe is probably a better idea, and put it underneath the, on top of the tap is best, I think. Yeah, just take a little bit of time and just route everything in a way that's not going to go getting in the way of throttle rods. We have choke rods that could go on eventually as well, so we're probably better off having it nice and neat in towards the block and out of the way. The choke rod, when it's fitted, and put it around the collar. So now we can take our measurement then, roughly. Because there is a bit of stuff in behind that carb. You don't want the wire rubbing. Okay, so if we were to even cable tie around there, it'll just keep everything pushed forward out of the way. So just feel the choke there, make sure that choke mechanism isn't going to be in the way, get obstructed. Yeah, so what I'm thinking is I actually have to push it forward a bit and out of the way of all of the carb. Let it hang down low, if even. Yeah, I'm going to cut this nice and long so that we can tidy things up in the future, but that we're missing all of the carb throttle mechanisms there. Okay, so to quickly push it through towards the voltage regulator, and we'll take our measurement then and we'll cut it up here. We'll bring it back to the workbench and we'll put the connections on. Right. So one last check. They always say to measure twice, cut once. Give yourself plenty is the most important thing. You can always shorten it when you're looking for something to do one of the days. Okay, so if I cut it there, we will have loads. So let's give it a snip there. Okay, that'll do solid finish for what we want. So we can take it off again, and we have to basically put the same connections on the other end. Our D is the big connection and our F is the small blue style connection. Okay, so let's go back to the workbench now and get the few bits on it that we need. Okay, so we'll bare the wire first. It's another little project I'm on at the moment. I was in my home place for years, so I'm slowly getting stuff brought up when I have visitors from the home place. So get all this displayed around here eventually. Okay, so bare first, so have a look and see. Usually you want to bare between the two wires so you don't cut the insulation on the wires. One thing I can say about the insulation on this particular cable is it's bloody strong, so there won't be any issues of things rubbing it and wearing through and sparks flying, things getting shorted out. That much is for certain. So D, E, A, F are the connections, so there is actually a bit of distance between the D and the F, so we're going to bare plenty of wire so we can comfortably connect what we have to connect without putting pressure on spade connectors and all of that. D is a bigger connection, so we bare a little bit more, bare a little bit further back than the D. Some people like to bare these really short. I personally think there's no harm in having them long. Because worst case scenario, if your wire is sticking through the end, like it probably will in this case here. See, like that, just sticking through there a little bit. Sure, it's only going to push up on the connector all the more, and it's only going to help with the connection. It's better than being too short. So we'll get our crimps. At the end of the day, it's the wire that's carrying the current. So if you're getting the wire using that connector, spade connector, to simply push the wire up onto where it needs to be, you're not relying on the spade connector then 100% to do all of the connection. That's a little bit too long, then I wouldn't normally go that much, but I only pushed it through more so just to show you, but it still won't make any difference. Yeah, it won't make any. I probably should snip a little bit of it off. I'll get a snips out. But yeah, just to show you. Yeah. Because I might do the same with this as well. Take off the insulator. I just don't like them. They're just too big and yellow, and don't mind the blue ones for some reason. They're small and neat, but the big yellow ones are, when you're not using a big heavy wire, I just don't think they're needed. So we'll get our other little thing of heat shrink. I think it was that one there is what we used the last time. Yeah. So we'll cut a little bit of that. Slide it down, it's probably too long. If it is, we'll recut. Great if we could actually just pull it down in a way that it creases, that we can actually get the, because I do like to have it all covered. That's annoying. Okay, it's just a little bit too long, so I'll just take a bit off it there. There's no other way around it, I don't think. Yeah, that's a little bit better. So we'll put a little loop in them. Push them up until you see them coming through. Everyone's their own way of doing this. There's people probably watching this going, that's not the way to do it. For a basic wiring loom, to get everything functioning, it'll be 100%. Okay, that's not strong enough. The pull test failed. Obviously, if I wasn't putting heat shrink on it, I'd crimp it a lot harder, because I find when you crimp it too hard, you don't get the heat shrink on it. Okay, that's good. That's passed the pull test. Okay, so that's good enough there. Let's get the lighter and just give that a quick drink and see. It'll just tidy it up a little bit. I won't tidy it up too much because the heat shrink is a lot wider than the wire. This is all about functionality, just getting it function. Okay, so lovely, that's a little bit better. So that is our dynamo wire ready to go. We've got big connections on the red, we've got small connections on the blue for our field coil, and the big ones are D. So We can do a bit of tidying up with that automotive tape that I have here if we want. Might even do it now, just to show you how it works. So we'll put a bit of the wire in the vise just to hold it. Let's get a bit of this. If you want, just to tidy things up a little bit there where they are coming out of the main insulation there, the kind of black. You want to just kind of take the bad look off it. Mind you, this mightn't look a whole lot better, but I think the key with this is not to put too much on, have it looking too baggy. It just tidies it up ever so slightly. If you want, you can even run it up. If you think this looks a little bit skimpy there, you can run it. You can run it up there as well. I usually just go one twist around and try and just let it meet the heat shrink, and then you can just go another twist or two. Sometimes you're better off cutting it. I'm just going to get a sharper knife. Like that. I'm no wiring expert by any means. And then you can just use up the last of it then. Pull it forward, up the wire a little bit each time until you give it a final little twist. And if you want to be really fussy, that little bit there is that curling around in itself, so you can cut him off, or if you have a dab of super glue, I find that is another little way of tidying it up as well. Dab of super glue on the last little twist on it, and it just seems to stop it from unraveling. And we can just tidy this up a little bit with it as well. If you were doing it every day, you'd have an idea how much to cut to do the job. Sometimes it can just take a bit of the skimpy look out of the wire. That's not the best job, but it's a little bit more loomy looking than the way it was. And likewise here, it's just a little bit skimpy looking there and here. So since we have plenty of the tape, and since we don't know how long this might be on the tractor for, may as well do a nice job on it. It doesn't turn out very well on the thin wires, it works a lot better on the thick wires. It's just an example of something you can experiment with if you want. A little bit nicer looking anyway. Okay, so there we go. A little bit of a dynamo, 2 regulator box, loom. So we'll just have a little look and see here how it looks. Here we go, fitting it on the work lamp. Okay, so we can pick either end, so whichever end is nicer looking we'll throw down here. This other one's going to be fairly hidden, so it has to go in behind the earth lead anyway. We've got our field coil connection first. We will have to polarize this dynamo, and I'll do it anyway. Okay, so that is that. Okay, we'll hook up underneath, out the other side. We'll go over the other side now. We'll hitch it up to the voltage regulator, which may involve taking it off its bracket, but we had to put it on anyway to work out lengths of wires and all of that. But as you can see, we have plenty of wire, so we will be able to go down. Hopefully when we get everything working well, be able to go and cable tie things in out of the way, nice and neat. So that is all going to be down the road. But the most important thing is to make sure you have plenty of wire. Don't be stretching connections. Vibrations in the engine and all of that will just end up pulling them off. Okay, so we can slide that one out because it's going that way, and we have D over this side here. The D will go on there. Okay, that's a good connection, and our F connection is going to go over here, and likewise that is a good tight connection. So after that we have D, E, earth. So we can pick an earth. I'm going to look on my own track. Oh yeah, earth on my own was earthed from there to a bolt. So we might clean up one of these. Let me see now. If I want to do it right, I don't know how good this battery tray is earthed. It's missing bolts there, nuts there, on both sides. Now I can replace them with washers. Actually missing another one in there as well. On the inside there, that top one's fairly important because it does bear a bit of weight. So we need 3 11/16 CUNF nuts, and that would help this earth. I might take an earth off the back of this. That's basically what's done on my own gold belly. It's be nice and neat and short. So this isn't earth in here either because that's not there. Could sort that out as well with a bolt. I think, does that one go right through? Yeah, it goes right through to their side. So I don't know how well earthed this battery tray actually is. If it's actually bolted on at all, I think it's just wedged into place. So I think what I'm better off doing is taking my earth off here on the inside. I can clean up with a Dremel from the other side, get a nut on that and a washer on both sides. I'm going to mat it, one in there as well. I have some lovely head nuts left. I think they'd be ideal for that, to be nice and neat. Maybe just clean it around it as well with a Dremel to get this earthed. And then we can go ahead and make our little earth. I can go actually make my earth wire for that now, because it's not going to be long. It's just going to be, yeah, we'll be able to guess that. So we need to use this then as a measurement for the ringlet that we're going to need. Okay, so leave that with me. I'll come back when I have a few little bits like that done to show you.